So I went to the Universal Studios Japan 2024 countdown event, where I stayed at USJ for 16 hours without sleeping a wink. This was the second time I've ever been to USJ. The first time was for the 2020 countdown event, right before the pandemic. That year I went to see Sadako, one of my favorite artists, and she performed the song Uchiage Hanabi, the famous duet that she did with Yonezu Kenshi. She also performed Yada, a song about suicide, which I thought was an odd choice for a family-friendly venue like USJ, but okay. That year, they also had the famous anime singer Shoko Nakagawa, who performed the song Sorry Ero Days from Gurren Lagann, so that was cool. Unfortunately, this year they didn't have any celebrity guests. They just had the cast of the One Piece stage show they had at USJ, the puppets from Sesame Street, and this one zombie teddy bear who likes dubstep and has only one eye. Man, what a freak. So other than that, there were some changes to the park, mainly the opening of Super Nintendo World. I got to go in there and it was awesome. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my USJ mobile app to work right away. So in order to get inside Super Nintendo World, you have to download the USJ mobile app and get a reservation ticket. And you can only get a reservation ticket on the day that you're actually there. I downloaded the app and I tried to scan the QR code on my physical ticket, and for some reason it didn't work. And then I tried later, and for some reason it did work. So by the time I got the app to work, the earliest available time slot was 7 in the morning, and it turns out that the area was under maintenance from 2 to 6:30 a.m., so not being able to enter until 7 wasn't that big a deal anyway, and it was well worth the wait. So other than Super Nintendo World, there was this one other ride that I went on last time called Space Fantasy, and I noticed that it wasn't there this time, and I was kind of disappointed because I went on that ride only once, but I thought it was pretty cool. It's this indoor roller coaster where everything is dark, but they have all these planets and stars lit up. It's like a Space Mountain from Disneyland, except the cars can also spin around, like that one dinosaur ride from Animal Kingdom, or the Cat in the Hat ride at Island of Adventure. Well, yeah, that ride wasn't there this time, and I noticed that there was a new ride based on Sadako, the one ghost girl from the Ring movies, and I figured I might as well try that ride, since I still had 7 hours or so until I could get inside Super Nintendo World. So I went to the Sadako ride, and the first thing I noticed was that it was in the same spot that the Space Fantasy was last time. So I waited in line and I got inside this room where they play this video that explains the lore behind the ride. So the way the story goes is that you're on tour of this occult research lab, and there's this scientist guy who's in charge of the lab, and he says to you, "Welcome everyone, do you know about this video? They say that if you watch this video, you will die after 1 week. And the only way to escape the curse is if you show the video to someone else." And then there's this research assistant lady who shows up and is like, "Oh, please let me take charge of this tour. I have a present for everyone." And the boss guy is like, "A present, you say? Oh, okay." And then you go inside this other room, and the assistant lady is like, "Oh, okay everyone, here's my present." And then she shows you the cursed video of Sadako, and the guy in charge, he shows up and turns off the video and is like, "No, why would you do something like this?" And the assistant lady is like, it turns out that she saw the video a week ago, and by showing the video to someone else, that means that she gets to escape the curse and not die, and everyone else in the room will die after 1 week. And so the assistant lady is like, "Oh, screw you! I'm going to live and you're all going to die." And the boss guy is like, "Everyone, run away from the lab! I'll deal with the curse somehow." And so yeah, that's how the ride starts. So when I was inside the room where they played the video, I was like, "Wait a minute, this is the same room as the Space Fantasy ride." And after they play the video, you go inside this hallway where you wait in line for a little longer. And there I thought, "Wait a minute, this is the same hallway as the Space Fantasy ride." And then I saw the vehicles that you actually ride on, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I'm pretty sure these are the same vehicles as the Space Fantasy ride." And then I got on the actual ride, and everything was pitch black. And I was like, wait a minute, where are all the stars? Where are all the planets? This is the same ride as before, except it's nerfed. So yeah, the Sadako ride is the same ride as Space Fantasy, but they turned off all the planets and stars, and they basically play an audio drama. So the story keeps going while you're on the ride. And at the end, the assistant lady, she dies, and the scientist in charge is like, oh no, why did she die even though she showed the video to someone else? Does this mean that there's no way to escape the curse? And so at the end, there's like this big TV screen, and like you see Sadako screaming and reaching out her hand at you, and as in the screen goes black. And yeah, that's it. And then the head scientist guy is like, everyone, you have 1 week. Please stay alive until then. So if I don't upload anything after January 6th, that means I'm probably okay, because I barely ever upload anything anyway. And I looked this up later, and it turns out that the Space Fantasy ride often gets reskinned for other IPs. So a while ago, USJ had this Attack on Titan ride, and it was just Space Fantasy, but they had all these Titan statues outside that people could take pictures with, and like all of the staff members had like that one uniform worn by the Survey Corps, and they played a different video at the beginning, and like during the ride they had these VR headsets with like visuals and sound, so it's a totally different experience, even though the roller coaster itself is the same. And they also did the same thing with like Demon Slayer and Doraemon. And like thinking about it now, I think that's actually a clever way to like reuse the same ride or roller coaster for like multiple IPs. But at the time, I had no idea about any of them, and I was just thinking, why are they recycling all this stuff? This is like a lazy Netflix adaptation. I also liked how even though it's supposed to be an occult research lab, it still looked like a space station. Having said all that though, it's one of my favorite rides at USJ, and I went on it 3 times. It's one of the most intense rides there, along with Hollywood Dream and the Flying Dinosaur. It's also pretty scary with the sound effects and voices in the background. Even though the first time I went on it, I just kept thinking, like, this is the same as Space Fantasy but nerfed. So yeah, I highly recommend it. And apparently they're bringing back the Demon Slayer ride, based on the movie that came out a few years ago. They're bringing back the ride. So if you're interested in that, then go check it out. If you'd rather go on the Sadako ride for whatever reason, then go to USJ quick before they replace it with the Demon Slayer ride.